to the program. My name is Isa Nu. Today we are going to be discussing a major issue, and as you know, Nigerians, so many of our students are at home, especially those in tertiary institutions. You know, despite the fact that ASU is on strike, there's that need that we also have to note that presently the students are also writing WAEC, and you know the JAMB result just came out, and students are also preparing to go back to school. So, but then the question that still lies with us is that what is the state of our young minds? How creative are they when it comes to the issue of reading and writing? These are the questions we ask ourselves. Is it just about going to school, or you must also understand what education is all about? And that cannot take us far away from the issue of those who write books and those who read books. So today in the studio, we are being joined by Fahad Ahmad Chikaji. Fahad Ahmad Chikaji is a publisher and a major writer of books trying to fill the gaps in our library. Unlike in the past, where we have to go to the library to get books to read. Now we have technology that has taken that part. So, but then has the technology helped us to bridge the gap in terms of learning? These are the questions we are going to be asking Ambassador Fahad Chikaji with respect to the recent book he just published that has to do with corruption, that has to do with drug abuse, and then that has to also do with Nigeria. What is our reading ability in the country? So we'll go on a very short break, and then when we return, we kick up with the conversation.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we will realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASU Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASU Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back to the program. Still with us is Fahad Ahmad Chikaji. Fahad Ahmad Chikaji is a publisher of so many books. I think just of recent he published 3 other books to join those that he has already established in the libraries across the country. So Fahad, good morning and welcome to the program.
Morning.
It's nice having you once, for the first time I believe, coming to talk about education, and then you are here with us. Good morning once more.
Morning, thank you.
Okay, now let us just go straight to the point. Now, you have a situation where we have, the statistics is not very good for our literary community in Nigeria. We are seeing that so many of our youth are not fully engaged with issues that has to do with reading and writing. Now, so what pushed you to start writing your books?
Actually, let me start by saying this. Just like you said, it's not always your area of profession. I'm a computer scientist by profession, and I looked at the situation in the country, And I thought of it that how do we continue? How do our youth get out of all these issues we are having in this country? Like, for example, let us bring the issue of ASU strike now. All our youths are home. They are doing nothing. They don't have skills at hand. So I just sat down and thought, let me write something that will be like a guide to our youth so that they should know that, yes, when we have skills, we can get through it, not only the certificates.
Okay. Now, looking at what you've written so far, and then if you look at the statistics that has been done in the world with respect to Nigerians and reading culture, we are 38%. This is not very, very good for our society. What do you think are the problems that make us to be that rated low?
Okay, actually, in Nigeria, our reading culture is very poor. I think this starts from parenting, I think, from home. We don't have that culture from home that, okay, you tell your children to read. Unlike in other countries, you see reading books from nursery, from kindergarten. They read, they learn how to write fast. And then, you know, we in Nigeria, our own culture is different. Actually, people think books are not the way. So we don't have that culture.
So invariably, we are having an eroding reading factor in the country. Yeah. But then, if you keep writing books and people are not reading the book, so what then is the need of writing the book? Okay,
let me say this. Sometimes it's about the writer. Some people, it's just like the comedians or the artists. Somebody will come and perform and nobody will be there. But somebody will say he wants to perform and people will fill all the place. So sometimes it's about the writer. Actually, apart being a computer scientist, I was once a politician and I'm an entrepreneur. I hold an NGO. So I think I have so many followers in the social media. Let me use the social media. And most of our youths now engage in the use of social media. So I thought if anything could come from me, a lot of people will want to give it a try, to read and see what I'm saying. So through that, I think it will influence and bring more people to start reading. And based on the reading, that message that are in the books will be taken and maybe they'll work with it.
Okay, let me just quickly go through some of the books you've written. You've written My Story, and also you have the Overlooked Corruption book, and also you have the Drug Abuse, and what I'm going to focus on, and then you have the Marriage of a Wonderful Castle. So now, when you look at all these books that you've written so far, now looking at the issue of the overlooked corruption, what does it entail? What is it all about?
Okay, in a summary, overlooked corruption is looking at a lot of corruptions. When you say corruption in Nigeria, we looked at it at the politicians and maybe the people that are managing so many big office holders. Maybe they are the only people being corrupt or taking corruption or taking bribery and whatever. No, but it's not like that. I am telling Nigerians today that corruption starts from home. As a child, a parent will tell you that, do this, I will give you this. And the child will do what you say he or she should do, but later you won't give him. That is corruption. So it starts from home, from parenting. You know, sometimes in schools, you see, you earn an A, but they won't give you. But another person will pay the teacher or the lecturer and they will pass him. That is also a form of corruption. Some people will pass the JAM, but they will be denied admission. Corruption. So all these things are things I brought together so that people will understand. If we are looking at the bigger corruption and say it's the only corruption, then we are going nowhere in this country. Let us start from the scratch. Let us kill corruption before corruption kills us.
Okay, you made mention of let us kill corruption before corruption kills us, and I believe that was one of the major reasons why I put up this book. But then, if you look at our society today, it's very complex. Everybody says that corruption has beaten into the fabrics of the country. And by stating that the family aspect is very, very key, how can family now push people to read books when you are writing books? What are the roles of the father, of the guardian, in training up their child to have access to books and then they read for them to have a transformed lifestyle?
Okay, like I said, if the parents have seen or heard of a book and maybe get through reading the book and know the importance of the book, they can make their words read the book. There is a way. You can bring a book and tell your child, okay, every day read 2 pages, come and give me in summary what you understood by that. And you know, just like what I said, we need to start teaching our children to know the effect of corruption. That is the one we are doing from our own homes, between our family, not the bigger one. When you show your children the importance of reading book, and from home, from childhood, you are showing your child to stop doing anything that is in connection with corruption, then your child will have that bitter mind about corruption. So even when he graduates and gets an office, he wouldn't go anywhere close to corruption.
You just reminded me of my past, and definitely there is that better way for us to develop a society, because I remember those days in the secondary school I attended, we had to do this competition. How many books can you finish in a week? How many books can you read or comprehend within a week? But now we are not seeing that competition. It seems that Facebook, other social media handles have taken over that space. So now let us just quickly look at one other issue that has been bothering Nigerians, the issue of drug abuse. People have driven the fact that drug abuse is one of the major contributors of insecurity to insecurity in the country. What is your take on that? Because you've written a book on that.
Yeah, actually, drug abuse also, let me say it starts also from home. Let me see. Sometimes from home, from parenting, some parents do smoke and drink. Every child wants to grow up and become like his father or mother. So when you smoke or drink in the house, you are telling your child that what you are doing is good. So nobody in the society can tell him that what he is doing is bad, because he will say, my father is doing it. Most of the times, parents are neglecting some of their duties. You see, peer group influence is one of the strongest ways that people get influenced into drug abuse. And sometimes a lot of things, you know. Some people, when they are depressed, they smoke, they drink, they say it takes them out of that depression. But the major key actors of that gets into drug abuse is parenting. It also starts from home. Some parents, they don't even know the friends of their children. And as a good parent, you need to know, who is my child's friend? Where is he from? What does he do? You need to go and checkmate all these things. But some parents in Nigeria, our state today, you give birth to a child, you take him, you said, let him go to school elsewhere, maybe Almajiri or any sort of things. They give birth to children, they don't even know where their children are. And what do you expect? These children, they meet people, peer group, this person feeds you, clothes you, give you shelter, and then that person smokes. And you too, you start smoking. And there is no anybody who could tell you to stop smoking. You will say no. Because that person talking to you haven't provided anything to you. Maybe a job, maybe a skill, a way to get skills. Nothing. So I think these are part of the problems.
So now, writing all these books, and then you are just like I rightly stated the other time, that after writing this book goes to library, they go to bookshop, and you create awareness about this book. People have access to this book. But then the reading culture, as it is declining, what other format do you have for people to have access to your book and for people to sit down and discuss your book, most especially amongst the teenage?
Actually, there are 5 books now, just like you mentioned. Yeah. I just published 6 books, sorry. And I am planning on launching these books maybe before ending of this year or maybe early next year. My intention is, as an ICT professional, I will create an application where all these books will be there, and then I will share the links online so that anybody that wants to have access to these books could just go there and just download for free. Okay. So I think this is also a way to motivate people to read the books, because some people cannot remove money out of their pocket to buy books. But if you say it's free, it's there in the libraries, you go there and read, and then you could go to Facebook, Twitter, or whatever handle and just download it. So I think these are one of the strategies I want to go about.
Is there hope of schools getting it into their libraries beyond the issue of ICT?
I cannot say that now. All I know is as the official way of doing things, I am to submit copies to the National Library.
Yes.
And then, like I said, yes, of course, I will, during my launching, I will invite the Minister of Education and so many people that are involved. Like if you say the drug abuse, the NDLEA are involved. When you say corruption, the EFCC and ICPC. When you say banditry, the military, paramilitary. And like you said, my story, that one, it has to do with me giving my own story so that people could emulate. Because I can see my future is bright, and then I worked for it. So I want the youth to also emulate, to know that nothing just comes for free. You have to work, and you hear what you want. Okay.
Now, let me just move in order for us to wrap it up. Let us look at this book, Marriage of a Wonderful Castle. What is it all about?
Marriage of a Wonder Castle. What brought about the writing of this book is I have gone around the world. I've gone to Asia, so many places, East Africa, West Africa, and a lot of countries in the world. And then when I came back, I sat down, I said, no, look, something is wrong. The people out there have a way of thinking about us. Maybe they've used some certain percentage of us to decide and say, okay, to come to conclusion that Nigerians are this and that. And that's not it. If you go to any other country, I've lived in countries like Ghana, I've gone to Dubai, lived there, India, and so many countries, Uganda. I've seen worse people than Nigerians. But why is it that anywhere you say Nigeria, people look down on you? So I try to bring out the history of Nigeria, our tribes, our ethnic groups, religious groups, and then the thinking of outsiders over us and what we really are. If you ask me, I'll tell you there is no country in the world better than Nigeria. I have gone to so many countries, over 15 countries, and I can tell you that still Nigeria is the best country in the world. But still people don't know that. So we have to tell people that this is Nigeria and these are Nigerians and these are what we do. It's not what people think about us.
Because the impression created outside the country is that Nigeria is a developing country. Unlike in the past where you say you can compare Nigeria to Singapore and Nigeria to Malaysia. Now, Malaysia, they are part of the first world country, and Nigeria still have that gloomy kind of look from outside. But then you still say Nigeria is one of the best places to stay.
You see, when you're talking of a country, you don't just look at the fancy part of it. You come to look at technology. Look at the Minister of Digital Communication, Isa Ali Pantami, doctor. He's really trying. Go and research about it. Where are we? What is our ranking now in terms of technology? We've gone far. Agriculture, we are still topping. We export foods from Nigeria to other countries. When you come to oil, yes, there are other countries now producing oil, but still, we are one of the major oil-producing countries.
But if you say that, because Nigerians, most of us, we still believe on the ICT kind of lifestyle now. Still, many people don't read. So how will they even know about this development we are having? Being one of the best in terms of information technology, still doing the best in agri in Africa. So, but then if we don't read to understand the statistics, the question is still, how then do we improve the reading culture of this youth, of the student in school?
Yeah, there are so many ways. You see, our youth or our children, let me start from the below. We need serious sensitization. I think that is what we are lacking. A lot of policies, government will make policies, but it doesn't go down. Sometimes they use the radio stations, sometimes they use the print media, which are the magazines and whatever. And social media now is one of the fastest way of disseminating information. Unlike before that people hold radio and whatever. Now we are in the digital era. That reading culture, like I said, let it start from home. Let parents show their children the need for reading. And it's not just reading, you read to understand what is in the book. And also, social media also, we have social media influencers. There are a lot of seminars and workshops that have taken place about use of social media. Because it's not everybody that knows what is the importance of social media. It's not just about going there to post your picture, fancy life. No, it's not about that. If you go to Facebook, for example, you see a story. That story is very important. Anything you put in that story, it pops up. Everybody on the social media will see that story. And then, so we have so many work to do. From top to down, let's know that we want to disseminate information. We have to use the radio, normal, that is the traditional way of disseminating information, the print media, the social media, and still we need series of sensitizations. Well, let me say advocacy.
Okay, but then if you look at it, we've also been seeing non-governmental organization, even governmental organization, putting up events that will make sure that students do read. But still, the major question is this. Some people, or let me say the present youth, they have this belief that they want immediate gratification. And sometimes, let me say in the past, you know that some of these schools, they organize debate competition, they organize quiz competition and the rest, and that brings them into a competitive ground, and everybody wants to outshine each other. And as a result of that, they move forward to also read. So can we look back at our history and then propel it forward, looking at the present situation, that all those motivating factors are no longer there, and that could have also resulted in the low level of reading and writing in the country?
Yes, it has contributed eminently. But what are we saying now? As a youth, that's why I said, let them read my story, a motivation for the next generation. One has to see that this person has emulated the habit of reading, and now this is where he is. The thought of our people is, finish school, you want to become a pilot to get a higher salary. You want to work in the NNPC, white-collar jobs, NCC, and so on and so forth. We all had that thought in the past. But we had to work with reality. When it comes to reality, we see that, no, we don't have this job. Then what could you do? Then you think of something. You need to be creative. You need to have the skill. You don't wait for anybody to tell you what to do. That's why I said it starts from parenting. When you are a child and your parents start telling you that, okay, look, my son, you have to be educated because you cannot live as an uneducated person. When you are a Muslim, you have to know the Quran. When you are a Christian, you have to know the Bible. Then you have to know the Western education. But that doesn't guarantee you to be rich. That doesn't guarantee you to have a good job or white-collar job. But let me tell you something. Education helps. We do businesses. We communicate with people outside this country. We've met people outside this country. And this, our education helped us. Because even in terms of communicating with them, to talk with them, to understand what they are saying, what you are saying, it helps. So education doesn't just stop at getting a white-collar job. Know that, yes, I am acquiring this education to become somebody, not to work in so-so place. Okay, I am now educated. Then what skill do I have? So when you are a child, when your parents show you the importance of reading, getting skill, then getting the education, when you have these three, then when you are a graduate, you could have an offer from CBN. You don't want it because you have a skill, you've got a skill, you want to be an employer of labor. You bring people and they work under you. We have a lot of them.
Okay. Now we just have 5 minutes to round up the program. But then let me ask you this question, because I know growing up, I grew up probably in the barrack where I know we have a library or we have a primary school where after the school period we go back to this school or the library to go and read. But now the society we are having, society is evolving. The community is increasing with respect to the trooping of people in and out of it. But still, in the past, you know of the issue of libraries in virtually all localities. But now we are not having them. So how can that help? How can we help ourselves to make sure we have libraries in our local communities where people can read even when they are not in school?
You see, the problem is everybody say the government, the government, the government. The government cannot do all. You've made mention in the past of the NGOs, the CSOs. We have philanthropists among us. We have the businessmen. And then the government. You see, we need so many of those libraries now across the country, from ward level to local government level to state level. But Can government do that? No. Government have got their own limitations to what they will do in each of the sectors. But we, as Nigerians, what are we doing? Do we just have the money for fun? Do our leaders just have the money? No. As even your constituency project, as a senator, as a House of Representative member, you could see, okay, let me provide a library, and inside that library, let us have a small e-library where my constituents could go, read, do assignments, and even surf the net. Some people don't have even access to internet, which is a problem. And we said we are in the digital world. So it's not just about the government. This is our own responsibility, all of us, that when you have something, you give something to your community. When you go out there, you have money, go back there, do libraries, do e-libraries, and a lot of things. Even to buy Android phones now and give your constituents, you are empowering them because you could do a lot. There are so many e-commerce sites which you could use your phone to get money. So like I say, all these things, we only look at the government to come and do library. Even the government libraries need refurbishments. It need to be up to standard. And all these things, government are trying. But like I said, we need to also help the government.
We should have community library
from
parents, all the parents within the community to join money and build up a library for your children. Or for those ones that are having access, for those ones that wants to read. But then, okay, now that we are coming to the end of the program, before we allow our second guest in, let me just quickly ask you this now. If you are to give something back to your community, what will be the best thing you can give them, especially the youth?
Okay, actually, with my current dispensation, I cannot offer jobs. I don't have that money. But like I said, like with these books, let's just take these books for example. With these books, I know that anybody that read either of these books will understand something, will learn something out of it, and when let this book be like a guide to Nigerians. Let it be like a training of a trainer. You read, you teach somebody, even if it is your child. You could take this book, make copies, share it to people in your community. Tell them, read this. This is what we've been telling you. If you are self-reliant, our youths, we lack that. If you are self-reliant, you can be like this person. This person could be your role model. He started from a wealthy family. He got out of that. He went, made himself what he is, the name he has now, even though he doesn't have money, but at least he has a family. He's taking care of his family, which is something. We want all our youths in Nigeria to be able to accept that responsibility that is upon them. You have a wife and children, you can feed them. That is what we need. You can give them quality education. Not that one that you give birth to a child and you don't know where he is. And if they say, well, you say you don't have a job. You don't wait for a job. You follow a job. When I graduated, I needed a white-collar job. I didn't get any. But I worked with Power Holding Company of Nigeria as a casual staff with 14,000 salary. Nobody could know that. But I stayed there. I learned the job. I met people. I knew people there. I was doing my side business, my consultancy. I'm getting something from it, and I was doing the job of a 14,000 naira. Okay,
thank you so much, Ambassador Fahad Ahmed Chikaji, for joining us this morning on the roundtable to have a major discussion on developing the reading culture in Nigeria. And we are very, very happy for you to have written about 6 books, which our libraries definitely will have a taste of it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, to our guests and to our viewers and listeners at home, we truly appreciate your time with us, and then we'll just go on a very short break. And when we return, we continue the next program.